Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the SWIB podcast. I'm Camilla Monk, your host, and this is SelfLoveSarah. So let's jump in with our questions. So Sarah, let's start at the beginning. What led you to start your business? Was there kind of a light bulb moment or was it a slow build up over time?
Yeah, so it was definitely a light bulb moment and then a slow build. So originally I had just found this book. The book started it all, and the book was called The Goddess Revolution by Mel Wells. And I was in a place where I just really didn't love myself very much at all. And I read this book and I was like, oh my God, my life has changed. Because it was just a game changer in terms of how I thought about myself, how I thought about my body. Yeah, that book was very much the catalyst. And then I just immersed myself in the self-love community and everything, all the books, all the courses, retreats. I just completely submerged myself in it. And then that was in 2016. So over the last however many years, I've just kind of slowly increased what I was doing. So I've gone from yoga to workshops to retreats to coaching to having my own community. Yeah, this is where I am now. So it was very much that catalyst with the book and then that growing over the last 3 years into where I am
Amazing.
now.
So you started off in 2016. We're now in 2025. So nearly 10 years in business. That's fantastic. And all from that one book. Who gave you the book? Where did it come from?
Amazon's like, I think you might like this book. And I was like, oh, okay. Amazon was right. It was literally an Amazon recommendation. And then I was literally like, everyone needs to read this book. I'm obsessed. And yeah, here I am now.
Love that the universe spoke to you
the
through
universe
Amazon.
put that book in my life for that reason, definitely.
Fantastic. Is it something that you recommend people read now?
If you're like struggling with kind of liking yourself and your body and food and all those kind of things that as women we struggle with, it is a great starting point, like on your self-love journey, 100%.
Amazing. Right, I'm going to put that on my reading list. What rituals or boundaries have you put in place to kind of protect your energy during this nearly 10 years of business?
So one of my favourite, I have like a quote, like a favourite thing that I say to protect my energy, and that is, sorry, I'm not available for that.
I love that.
And that's it. No explanation needed. That is like, that is the boundary. So like if someone asks me to do something and I'm just not feeling it, I'm not available for that. It doesn't need to be like, oh, time-wise I might be available, I might have a free day to do it, but energy-wise and just like passion-wise, I'm just like not available for that.
I love that.
And it's just so great because you don't have to give an explanation. You just say, oh, I'm really sorry. I'm not available.
It's not an apology.
No, it's not just like I'm not available for that. So I love that one. I love to get that one out quite a lot just to kind of protect my peace, protect my energy, protect my time. Another thing that I have been doing in the last 2 years is journaling. So I've really upped my journaling practice. But I really found it hard to journal. I found it hard to write. I just would sit there and write and it would feel like a chore. So my journal is very creative. It's lots of colour, it's lots of drawings, lots of collage, things like that. And I just find it gives me really good creative rest. I'm feeling a bit like, oh, in my head, the book comes out. And even if I'm just like colouring, doodling, whatever, I just find it really good creative rest.
Release of kind of stress and
absolutely
letting your brain just wallow.
And that's when I get my ideas then as well, because I've like stopped and like done something creative, then the ideas start to like flow back in and I'm like, oh, there we are, that's really good.
I love the idea of a creative journal, something that isn't just words, because a lot of people, especially creative people, I guess would see it as a chore. To have to write isn't a natural way of expressing yourself.
Exactly, but it's just pictures and doodles and colourings and all sorts of wonderful things and
I'd
random
like to
ideas.
See it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Everyone, I always get it out. I'm like, look at my journal, look at my pen. And then recently, literally in the last 2 months, I've done my Reiki level 1 and I've loved it and I've really found it help protect me, because in Reiki we talk about putting ourselves in like a little Reiki bubble. So now like if I'm feeling overwhelmed or like feeling stressed or with like difficult people, then I just think Reiki bubble, I'm in my Reiki bubble, you cannot penetrate my bubble, I am in my bubble. Leave me alone.
Oh my God, I feel like I've learned so much. I love the bubble. I'm sorry, I'm not available.
Literally. So I've got lots of little tips and tricks that I use to kind of help protect my peace and my energy and my time.
Brilliant. Do you see any kind of unique challenges for women in your industry at the moment? Anything that kind of, any boundaries?
I think in like the kind of self-love community, it's a very unique challenge, but I think the challenge at the moment is just trying to get that message out there amongst the noise. So at the minute, there's a lot of noise in terms of making ourselves smaller.
I know. Where's this come from?
Literally, it feels like we've gone back. Like
we used to be strong.
I know.
And suddenly
it feels like the self-love and body positive community and all that is very much like struggling and fighting at the moment to kind of push through the noise of making ourselves smaller. And it's not even just like making ourselves smaller physically. It just feels like it is like women being kind of
squished down again.
Squished down to make smaller to fit in their box, and it's really hard to like fight through that noise and be like, no, don't do that, please.
It does seem to be a cycle. I was going to ask you about this because in the last, my experience of the last 10 years, it's been be strong, go to the gym, get healthy, be a warrior woman, which I am totally behind. I love that.
Yeah.
But now in the last year, this skinny message is starting to come through really strongly.
Take the injection and make yourself smaller.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
Thin is back in. It's not okay with me.
So I guess you're going against the fashion again.
Yeah, and it's really hard like seeing people that were, they still are, but like in the body positive self-love space that are like openly like using injections to make myself smaller, and I'm like, okay. So it's hard. It's really hard to kind of break through that noise at the moment, but we just keep trying, keep doing, seeing if we can keep shining that light. And
big consideration, isn't it? Because you've had the momentum of fashion and acceptance of bodies and being, and even building them up, women becoming bigger.
Yes.
With muscles and everything else. And
it feels a bit like 2 steps forward, 1 step back at the minute. Whatever the expression is.
I guess there's always going to be a cycle.
Yes.
And it's just which side of it you're on at any one time.
Yes, definitely. And trying to do it, I find it hard to do it in a way where I'm like, I'm so conflicted because part of me is like, you do you, babe. And then part of me is like, don't really like that. But I always have that internal conflict. I'm just like, no, you're happy and you're living your life and doing you, and that's what I'm all about. But then also I'm like, but the message we're sending to women.
It's interesting to see what happens as we get further along that journey. And the effects and the kind of, evidence that comes through, perhaps.
Yes, definitely.
The initial kind of euphoria of women shrinking.
Yeah.
But then the lasting effects, perhaps.
Yeah, definitely. I'm also intrigued to see that.
We'll see
and I'll just still be here just going, it's cool. I'll come back to me. I'll give you some self-love. It's fine.
Sarah, I want to ask you what your advice would be for women that are starting businesses. What would your advice to them be if they're feeling slightly overwhelmed by it?
So my advice would be, obviously coming from a self-love perspective, to be you, be authentic, do what's right for you, lead with your heart, not your head, and you will attract what you are supposed to attract. I feel like leaning into self-love as a kind of business strategy is a really good tool for authenticity. And the more we're authentic, the more we're ourselves, the more we're kind of leading from the heart, shining our lights, the more we're going to attract what's meant for us. We're going to attract our ideal client. So my number one advice would be like, stay true to yourself, keep leaning into your heart, what's your heart telling you, listen to your gut.
I love that.
And do what's right for you and just kind of screw everyone else.
Because ultimately, when you're running your own business, you are the figurehead, you're the leader. So you need to be yourself.
Yes.
And if you're playing a role, you're going to get exhausted pretty quickly.
Exactly. You've got to like yourself first. You've got to be kind of invested in what you're selling and what your business is. Like, would you buy it? And that would be.
Can I just ask a sub question? That would you qualify what you mean by self-love, just for our listeners to kind of, in a nutshell, what it is as an ethos for you?
Okay, so I love this question because 9 years ago I would have been like, self-love is this and it's this and it's this, and I had like the perfect answer like prepared, and I would have like just kind of reeled it off. Over the years, self-love has become very apparent to me. Self-love is different for every woman. Every unique individual has their own version of what self-love is. So what self-love is for me might not necessarily be what self-love is for you. So it's about kind of finding your own self-love. But at the kind of essence of it is, it's a vibration. It's a vibration, or it's like an energy. And it's about aligning with that vibration and kind of being your higher self and being at a place where you're just kind of like really at peace with yourself, self-acceptance. It's such a umbrella term. For me personally, self-love for me is being my authentic self, like looking after myself, like epic self-care, setting boundaries, and just really not caring what other people think and just doing me. So to me, that's my self-love. But my job is very much is about helping women find their own definition of self-love and living that, because I feel like if I tell you this is self-love and you're like, I don't really want to do that, then you're not going to do it. So it's about finding what's right for you and finding what self-love means for you and how you practice that and how you embody that.
It's really interesting. I love that you said looking after yourself. I think that if we were to look at the darker side, and we should touch on it, that the controversial side of self-love can be self-abandonment. And I love that your approach is the opposite of that. It's absolute, you said, top self-care immediately was your first answer, which I absolutely love. And I think that's so important to remember.
And I think it can be kind of thrown around like a bit of a hashtag, can't it?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, bubble baths and yoga and massages. And like, actually, self-love can be really freaking hard. Like, it can be like having the hard conversation with someone, setting the boundary, like doing the thing that you don't really want to do, but you know it's going to serve you. Like, so self-love isn't like the fluffy, like everything's great in self-love. Like, it is hard. Like, it is really hard sometimes to practice self-love, but it's
self-discipline that then has rewards for where you want to be.
Exactly. And other people aren't going to like it, and you have to just be like, tough, I'm doing it.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for that. I always think it's important because there can be a bias towards people going, self-acceptance is not self-abandonment. And self-abandonment is the dark side, isn't it? Of self-love, where people don't look after their bodies and go, this is me, you're going to have to lump it. And it's like, but you've abandoned yourself.
Self-love's like connection. It's all about connection, being connected. It's like when people go, oh, so you just eat what you want. I'm like, well, yeah, I do, but like, that doesn't mean I go and eat McDonald's every day. I actually am connected to my body. So I ask myself, what does my body want today? And then I eat that. So it's that. So
intuitive.
It's that connection rather than that disconnect. I think when we're disconnected from ourselves, that's the lack of self-love. Self-love is when we're connected to ourselves.
Where you're in a punishment and binge cycle, perhaps.
That's such a disconnect. You're completely disconnected from your body. But when you're in tune with your body and you're connected to yourself, not just your body, but your mind, your soul, that's when like self-love happens.
I love that. When you hit burnout and you start to feel that kind of familiar exhaustion, what do you remind yourself? What brings you back to yourself in that time?
So I kind of remind myself to practice what I preach, because I'm very much telling, women to look after yourself and like rest when you need to. And I'd be a massive hypocrite if I didn't do that for myself as well. So that is the first thing. Also, other things that I do is I remind myself of like 11-year-old Sarah, who was very not loving herself and very, very sad. And I remind myself of her and how far I've come and how I can be the kind of beacon or the channel to make sure that other 11-year-old Sarahs don't feel that way. I very much remind myself of that. And I also have like a little praise box, so like any kind of testimonials I get from people. So I've got like a box, I've got like notes up on my phone, I've got pictures, I've got screenshots in my photo album, and it's just like all things that remind myself like of the impact of what I'm doing. So it's finding that balance of look after yourself, but if I'm feeling a bit like unmotivated, let's say, then I remind myself, I look through those kind of testimonials and remember the impacts that I've had on hundreds of women now. So just remind, that's what keeps me going.
That's amazing. So motivated by the physical evidence of you doing a good job, and then nurturing your inner child.
Exactly. Yes.
Because we all have to remember that you can be your own parent.
Absolutely, definitely. And I just think what would 11-year-old Sarah need, and do that.
I'd love to talk to them all, get them in a room and be like, what do you think, guys?
Yeah, definitely.
Sarah, just finally, as a summing up, what does success look like for you? Because obviously it's different for everybody. And I'd love to know what it looks like for you.
Yeah, so success for me is being in a place of peace with myself. So it's very not, for me, it's not about like the money and the achievements and things like that, which it is for some people, and like, you do you, like, that's great. But for me, it's like being able to every day find, even if it's just a little moment in the day, it doesn't have to be all day every day, but find a moment where I feel at peace with myself, I'm happy with myself, I'm content. That, to me, that's success. That's feeling rich. Like being just in a place where you're happy with your life, you can find joy in every day, you can find love in every day. For me, that's success. If I can find that every day for the rest of my life, then I'll have a very successful life, in my opinion.
It's pretty perfect, doesn't it? Just that feeling of complete peace in your brain, not overthinking, not worrying. Sounds amazing.
Absolutely. And just being able to live and not survive, not exist, actually live.
That's fantastic. What a wonderful way to end this podcast. Thank you so much, Sarah. It was beautiful. Very much looking forward to your speaker session now.
Yes, me too.
And thank you so much. It was brilliant. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Swib Podcast. I'm SelfLoveSarah, and you can follow me on Instagram at SelfLoveSarah. You can also find me over at Self Love Retreats if you fancy a lovely self-love retreat with me. But come and find me over at SelfLoveSarah on Instagram, and all the self-love info and everything you need will be there waiting for you.